So VPC is all about network. We are creating our infrastructure. We are creating our infrastructure in AWS. We are creating our servers. We are creating our load balancers in AWS. AWS is a public cloud. Right? Anyone can create the servers in AWS infrastructure. In AWS, in cloud, we can create our own networks that we call it as VPC. Virtual Private Cloud. So VPC is basically network. We can create our own networks. Within AWS account, we can create our own network where we can place our AWS resources. Where we can place our AWS resources, which you have a complete control. Okay, on VPC you have a complete control. You can define, right, who can access those resources. VPC is a private subsection of AWS that you can control, in which we will place our AWS resources. You have a complete control on that AWS resources, which we will place in AWS VPC. So VPC is all about network, routers, and routing rules, network routing rules. So you have an AWS account. Let's assume you are in Mumbai region. So this is AWS cloud. Within this AWS cloud, we can create our own networks. We call it as a VPC. VPC, private, our own network, in which we can place our AWS resources like servers, load balancers, etc. So the components of VPC, right? The components of VPC, we have a multiple, like we can create a subnet, subnetworks. And we can define the route table. So how the, servers can talk to each other, right? Routing rules, network routing rules. And there are some additional components which we will discuss in a while. So whenever we create an AWS account, I have an AWS account. Whenever we create an AWS account, a default VPC will be created for us. If you see, we already created some servers, right? We already created some servers. So these servers are created in some network, some VPC network. So whenever we create an account, a default VPC, is created for us. This is the default VPC which is created for us. So VPC, we have some additional components like VPC will have a subnets, subnetworks, IGW, internet gateway, and route table or route tables. Additionally, we have a component called NAT gateway or NAT instance. And ACL or NACL. Network access control list. So these are the components of VPC. So each and every VPC can have one or more subnetworks. So this is my network VPC. Within that, I can create a subnetwork, small networks. We can create a multiple subnetworks. Each VPC can have one or more subnets. Subnet 1, like subnet 2. You can have multiple subnetworks. You can have multiple subnetworks. Again, there are two types of subnetworks. Public subnet and private subnets. So you can create a network with multiple subnets. There are multiples, you can create a number of subnets. There are primarily two types of subnets: public subnet and private subnet. So what is public, what is private here, right? We will create AWS resources in these subnets. Like what are AWS resources like EC2, load balancers and all that. So we can create a AWS resources like EC2 in these subnetworks. So if we create a server in public subnet, right? The subnet which has access to IGW, basically internet. The servers which are in public subnet will have access to internet to and from. So the servers which are in public subnet can be accessed from internet. We can also access the servers from internet. The servers also will have access to the internet, public servers. The servers, suppose let's assume this subnet is a public subnet, let's assume. Then the server which are in this subnet is public server. We can access from internet, and also this server also can talk to the internet to and fro. So this subnet has access to the internet. So how this subnet will get an access to the internet? The subnetwork. So there is a component called IGW. There is a component called IGW, Internet Gateway. So it's a device. It's a device which will enable internet connectivity to the network. A logical device enabling the traffic from the public internet. So we will have a IGW. IGW, Internet Gateway. So this IGW, yes, hardware device. So IGW will enable the internet connectivity to the network. So the network which has route to the IGW. So it's a virtual router, it's a device, right? If this subnet has a route to this IGW, there is a one more component in AWS VPC, as I told, route table. Route table. Route table. So this is one subnetwork. This is another subnetwork, right? This is router, which will enable the traffic to internet. So if this subnet has a route to IGW in the route table, we are going to define the routing, network routing in the route table. It's like a table. Route table. So here we can define, we can link this one here in a route table. So the subnet which has a route to the IGW, we call it as a public subnet. So this server, this network will have a route to the internet. The subnet which doesn't have a route to the IGW, the subnet which doesn't have a route access to the IGW, we call it as a private subnet. We call it as a private subnet. So if the server is in private subnet, this server will not have access to the internet. We cannot access this server from out, different network. We cannot access this server from the different network, and this servers also will not have access to the internet. We call it as a private subnet. So we will create all these components now so that you can understand. So we can understand how it will work, right? We will create VPC, we will create subnets, we will create a route table so that we can understand how it works. So now I'm trying to explain the components of our architecture of VPC now. So VPC is a network. Within that, we can create multiple subnetworks. So while creating a VPC, we have to mention the network range. Network range. So while creating a VPC, you need to mention the network range. So as I told guys, VPC is a network. Within that VPC, we can create a multiple subnets. As I told, there are two types of subnets: public subnet and private subnet. If the subnet has route to the IGW, we call it as a public subnet. If there is no route to the IGW, then we call it as a private subnet. So if the server is in public subnet, this will have access to internet to and fro. And if the server is in private subnet, there is no route to IGW, there is no access to this device, which will enable the internet. So this server will not have access to internet. So there is one more component called NAT instance, NAT gateway. Network address translator. So suppose this is in private subnet, this server doesn't have access to internet. So using NAT instance, this server can access internet one way direction. This is private server. This is private server. So we cannot access this server from outside directly. We cannot access this server. And this server also doesn't have access to internet. Suppose this server requires access to internet one way, right? It can access via, we can enable internet connectivity to private server via NAT. So this server can talk to the NAT. NAT will have access, this, since it is in public subnet NAT instance, it will have access to IGW. Then it can talk to the internet one way. But still, we cannot access this server from outside. This is private subnet server. So why we need to create a private server if we cannot access the private servers? What is the use of private servers? First of all, why we need to create a private servers, private subnets, private servers? Why? So security, right? We don't have route, we don't have internet to these servers. So the If someone is trying to, breach into your network, it's not possible because it is in private network. There is no internet access here. So then what type of servers I can create? What type of servers I can create in a private subnet? If I create a servers in a private subnet, how end user can access? Suppose my application is running in a private server. How can we access? How can we access this? If my application is running here, if it doesn't have access to internet, how can I access from outside? Right? So what type of servers I can create here? Suppose I have deployed Tomcat. My application is running in a private server, Tomcat. This is where my application is running. And I don't want my application server or my database server to be in public subnet. Suppose my application server is in private subnet. My database server also is in private subnet for a security reason. If it is running in a private subnet, how end user will access this application? What can I do? So we will access our application via load balancer. We will access our application via load balancer. So load balancer will be in the same network. The load balancer will be running in the same network in a public subnet. The load balancer will be running in a same network in a public subnet. Now end users will access via, end users will access the application via what? End users will access directly the application servers or via load balancer. Via load balancer. So load balancer is in same network in a public subnet. Can it communicate with servers which are in private subnet? This load balancer, will it able to communicate with the servers which are in private subnet, all are in same VPC? So it can talk to the load balancer to the server. And this application server can talk to the database server if they are in same network, right? But end user from outside, can we directly access this application server or database server if they are in a private subnet? We cannot. So we are making sure our application servers, our database servers are secure in a private server. This we call it as a web servers. This load balancer is nothing but a web server. This load balancer is nothing but a web server. So for a security purpose, right, we will have our servers in a private subnet. Now, if private servers needs to talk to the internet to download some OS patches, it requires some internet connectivity. Then we can enable internet connectivity to the private servers via NAT instance. Guys, this is one very important interview question. In the VPC, you will get lot of questions. What is NAT? Why do you need NAT? or when do you create NAT? NAT. So if private server need access to internet, we can create NAT and define routing from private subnet to NAT in route table. So private servers will get access to internet using NAT. So under which subnet NAT instance has to be created? That is also one instance. That is also one instance. That is one instance, right? So ELB is basically web server, Paramveer. You need to understand the concept, right? ELB is a web server. What is the purpose of web server? It is not a networking device, network component. What can we do with the web server? We can do a reverse proxy. Like I can access load balancer can send the traffic to some application, some port. It is not a network component, it's a web server. So NAT is a networking component. So if private server need access to the internet, we can create a NAT instance and we need to define the routing between that private subnet and NAT so that private servers will get access to internet via NAT. Now again, where should I create a NAT instance? Can I create a NAT instance in the private subnet? Can I create a NAT instance in private subnet? So the NAT instance should be in public subnet because this is where we have an internet access. So this is where we have an internet access. So this guy can talk to the NAT. NAT can talk to the IGW and get the internet connectivity for a private server. So this is optional. This is optional. And ACL or net, NACL. So is firewall at a subnet level. Firewall at a subnet level. Guys, what is security group? What is security group in AWS? We have a security group. We are using security groups with your EC2 instances. What is security group? It's a firewall. At what layer? Firewall at which level? Firewall at instance level, server level. Firewall at a server level, which will allow or deny the traffic. NACL is basically a firewall at subnet level. It is also optional, right? You can block, you can allow, or you can deny the traffic at a subnet level itself instead of instance level, but which is optional. It's a firewall at subnet level, network level, whereas security group is a firewall at instance level. So these are the components of VPC. What is IGW? As I told, which will enable the internet connectivity for the network. So how many IGWs can be attached to one VPC? Only one IGW can be attached to VPC at any point of time. It's a device, network device, router, which will enable the traffic to internet. If you observe, you go to your AWS, you go to VPC, you see one VPC. This is default VPC. Whenever you create an account, a default network is created for us. And it will have a subnets. You will see only 3 subnets. These subnets, whatever I have selected, these are subnetworks under that VPC. This one, and this one are in same VPC. Subnetworks under that network. And each subnet is in one region, one availability zone. If you see, one subnet is in 1A, one availability zone, another subnet is in 1C. They have created a subnets across multiple availability zones within the same region. Subnetworks. And if you see, there will be a IGW for that VPC. This one, Internet Gateway. This is attached to this VPC. This is your default VPC. And if you see, there is a route table, routing. This is the route table for that. So I have another VPC, guys. These are for different VPC. If you see, there is a routing defined here. Routing between your devices, your networks and network devices. So if you see, as of now, I have 3 subnets in default VPC. Is there private, subnets or public subnets? Whatever you have in a default VPC, you have 3 subnets. Is it a public subnets or private subnet as of now? Whatever it is there in the default VPC. We have 3 subnets in a default VPC. All are public subnets, right? All are public subnets by default, whatever they have created. So while creating a VPC, we need to define a network range. While creating VPC, we have to define network range, IP range. Network range. CIDR, network CIDR or VPC CIDR. What is CIDR? Basically, classless interdomain routing is a method or approach is a method for allocating IP addresses and its routing. IP addresses and its routing for a network. It's a way, it's algorithm, or I can say it's a method for allocating IP addresses and range, IP addresses and its routing. So while creating a network, you need to mention the CIDR, classless interdomain routing is an approach or standard used to create a networks. While creating, you have to define the range. So if you see, this VPC has some range. The default VPC has some range. This is that range. CIDR, IP range. This we call it as a subnet mask or CIDR block. CIDR block. So the range of IPs for this network. So there is a formula. Two power 32 minus n. So 2 power 32 minus 16. These many IPs we are allocating or reserving for this network. Within this range, right? These many, like 2 power 60, 65,000, 536, something, 65,536 or 556 IPs for this network. This is the range, right? CIDR block should be within 16 to 28 range. Basically, this is IPv4, 32-bit IP. So, but the CIDR block should be within 16 to 28 range. I cannot define a network with this range. I cannot define a network with this range, right? It should be 16 or 28 or in between 24, 20, whatever it is. So this is your network range. This is your network range. This is your VPC, right? So let me take one more example. Suppose I can define something like this. So how many IPs we will get if this is the range? This is the CIDR block. We will get only 16 IPs. If this is my network range, right? If this is my network range. Suppose if I define something like this, 24. Within that range, right? 2 power 32 minus 24, 2 power 8. So we can create 250. We will get a 256 IPs if this is my network range while creating a VPC. So this is CIDR for a VPC. Can I create a resources directly in VPC? Can I create resources directly in a VPC without creating a subnetworks? No, we have to create a we have to create a subnetworks. While creating subnet, also we have to define CIDR for subnet. CIDR subnet let me subnet CIDR should be subset of VPC CIDR. Subnet CIDR should be subset of VPC CIDR. What is the meaning of it? Suppose this is my VPC CIDR network. So while creating a subnet, right, I can create a subnets based on requirement. I can create 2 subnets, I can create 4 subnets, right? So it will give 256 IPs. If required, I can plan something like this: 2 public subnets, 2 private subnets based on the requirement. Each subnet with 64 IPs. Based on the requirement, I can create something like this: 2 public subnet, 2 private subnet, right? I will spread this subnet across multiple availability zones. I mean to say, one public subnet in 1A, one public subnet in 1B, one private subnet in 1A, one more private subnet in 1B. I can create something like that. So the subnet CIDR should be subset of VPC CIDR. What is the meaning of it? This is my VPC CIDR. While creating a subnet, can I mention something like this? Can I mention something like this? Can I use? It's a different range, right? It is not subset of this one. It's not subset of this one. This is different CIDR. This is different. So it should be subset. I can mention something like this. But if I mention subnet CIDR something like this, can I create another subnet? Because I am allocating all the IPs. I am allocating all the IPs to only one subnet. So I need to plan. I need to plan something like this. Suppose I want to create one public subnet, one private subnet, then I can plan something like this. For this one, for other, something like this. So you can plan your subnets from the VPC CIDR. So now CIDR is basically method for allocating classless inter-domain routing is method for allocating IP address and its routing. So when you create a VPC, you have to define a CIDR. When you create a subnet, you have to define a CIDR. Now, will I able to fully utilize all these IPs? Right, again, suppose if I create 2 subnets, this you need to play with Paramveer. This is what it is defining how many IPs you will get, right? So this is what you are defining IPs, right? So what is the range for CIDR, right? 28, right? You create a subnet something like this, so you will get 16 IPs. You create one subnet with this range, 16 IPs. You can use other with other subnets, right? You are just reserving whether you will use or you will not use. That is up to you. You are just defining a network range, subnetwork range using this algorithm. You will play with this subnet mask or CIDR block. So now again, suppose this is my VPC CIDR. Will I able to utilize all these IPs? Will I able to create these many servers? Right? So actual IPs available equals to total IPs minus 5 into number of subnets. This is your actual IPs. So in each and every subnet, 5 IPs will be reserved by AWS for a networking purpose. In each and every subnet, first 4 and last 1 IP address will be reserved by AWS, right? So for network routing, network broadcasting, these IPs will be reserved in each and every subnet. In each and every subnet, first 4 and last IP will be reserved by AWS. So how many IPs I will get if I have this VPC CIDR and I created 2 subnets? How many IPs will be actually available for you? 256 minus 2 into 5, right? 246. So now this is the architecture, VPC architecture. You create a network, VPC. Within VPC, you can create subnetworks. This is one subnet. This is another subnet. So there will be IGW, Internet Gateway, which will enable the internet connectivity to the network. So if this subnet and this IGW has a routing in the route table, if this subnet and this IGW has a routing in the route table, then we call it as what type of subnet, guys? Public subnet. If the subnet and the route, IGW doesn't have a routing in a route table, then we call it as a private subnet. So now let me create a VPC. Let me create a VPC now. I already have one more VPC. This is created for a different requirement. I already have one more VPC. This is created for a different requirement. Now let me create a VPC, our own VPC, custom VPC. Now VPC, there is a service, isolated cloud resources, networks. So let me create a VPC. I want to create. So create VPC. I will mention something like this. Some name, right? While creating a VPC, you need to mention the CIDR. As of now, I am mentioning IPv4 CIDR. Something like this, your network range. I cannot give 29. What should be the CIDR block range as I told? Within 16 to 28. Within 16 to 28. I can give 24, I can give 28 based on the number of instances which you want to create, right? So let me give 24. Let me create a VPC. Now I have a VPC. Now I want to create all my Flipkart application servers, database servers, load balancers, everything in this VPC. This is a network, right? I have created a VPC. Let's assume I want to create Flipkart application servers, database servers, whatever you want to create. I can create in this VPC. Now, can I create a servers in this VPC? That is network rule, right? Why can't we give 29? So that is how the network or CIDR algorithm is defined. So you cannot plan a network, you cannot plan a network, you cannot plan a subnets, you cannot plan a subnets if you give 29. So this is my VPC now. Can I create a servers in this VPC without creating a subnetworks? Will it allow? Let me go to EC2 section. So now I want to create a server for Flipkart. I want to create a application server for Flipkart. Selected the AMI, selected the instance type. Now here, network, the network. Now I see this VPC. I see this VPC. Let me select this. Now, do you see, is it allowing? What is required? Subnet. So I have defined the network range as this. I can create up to this many servers. If required, you can extend your CIDR. You can extend your VPC CIDR like secondary range. So you can create up to 246 servers. If required, you can extend your CIDR for that VPC. If required, you can extend. I mean to say, you can extend, you can assign a secondary CIDR, one more range. You can extend your CIDR for a VPC. You cannot modify, you can allocate one more range for that VPC. So we need to create a subnets first, then only we can create a instances. Let me go to VPC. I have this VPC with this range, with this CIDR, with this CIDR, right? So we cannot modify this one. You can define another range, one more range. If you want to extend, right? Another range here. You cannot modify this one. Instead, you can define another range. Okay. So now I need to create a subnet. Let me create a subnet. These are for different VPCs. I want to create a subnet for this VPC. I want to create a subnet for this VPC. Let me say I'm just giving a name as public subnet. I'm just giving a name as public subnet, which doesn't mean it is public subnet. Under which availability zone you want to create. You can create in 1A, 1B, 1C. These subnets will be created in a specific availability zones. So let me create in 1A. We need to mention a CIDR. Suppose if I mention something like this, I cannot create a one more subnet because I am utilizing everything. So let me plan something like this, 25. So how many IPs within that? So 0 to 127. It will be 128 IPs. So I am creating a subnet with this CIDR. Let me create a subnet. Similarly, let me create one more subnet. So again, can I give something like this? For this one more subnet also, can I give something like this? Again, 0 to 25. Will it allow? Again, 128 IPs. It will overlap, right? It will overlap. I already created one subnet. I already created one subnet with this range. You already created one subnet with this range. So again, I am creating a one more subnet with same range, same CIDR. It will overlap, right? If you see, I will get subnet name here. Let me give. If you see what it is saying, CIDR address overlaps with existing subnet. So I will plan something like this, 128. So it will be like 128 to 255. This is the another range. So let me give name as private subnet. I'm just giving name as private subnet. As of now, this is not a public subnet. It is not a private subnet. So I have two subnets for this VPC. For this VPC, I have created two subnets. This one and this one is for that VPC. As of now, I just gave a name as private and public. None of them are private, none of them are public as of now. It's both of private. You can modify the preferences, guys. Here you can modify the preferences. If you see, auto assign public IP. What is the meaning of auto assign public IP? When I create a server in that subnet, I no need to select the option to assign a public IP. It will automatically assign a public IP. I no need to select whether I need a public IP or I don't want a public IP. I can decide here itself. If you see here, while creating a server, the moment you select VPC, the moment you select subnet, auto assign public IP. The default setting is enable for this one. Let me select this VPC. Now, is it going to assign by default this? If I select this subnets, is it going to assign by default? What is the default value? It is not going to assign a public IP. If required, you can select this option, enable. If required, you can select this option, enable. I want to make it enable by default. That we can do it here. Go to your subnets. Select this one, actions, modify auto assign public IPs, enable. Now I can create a servers. Because I have a VPC. This VPC has a subnets. So let me create a server. Select AMI instance type. Now I want to create a server in this network. Now if you see, I want to create a server in public subnet. Now do you see it's reflecting? I'm going to get a public IP. So storage, security group, whatever. Let me create a server. Now this server is in Flipkart VPC. The subnet name is this, but it is not a public server as of now. This server is in this VPC in this subnet. This server is in this VPC in this subnet. So do you see what is the private IP? What is the private IP of that server? Whatever server I have created, do you see? Is it within this range? Whatever I have defined for that subnet? The private IP address of that server is whatever range I have defined for this network. So public IP is allocated by ISP. Public IP will be allocated by ISP, right? Now I have a server with private IP and public IP. Now let me see, will I able to access this server? Let me see, will I able to access this server? I have a key. I have a key. I have that key. And that server also has a public IP. And port 22 is open for everyone. Port 22 is open for everyone, like 0.0.0 in the security group of that server. In the security group of that server, port 22 is open for all the IPs. Then why I am not able to access from my laptop? What is missing, guys? We just created a VPC. We just created a subnets. So we have not defined IGW, the internet gateway, which will enable the internet connectivity. So there is no route. There is no route to that server, to this IP. So let's again go and create a route, IGW. Go to IGW. I see there are two IGWs, right? One IGW is for default, another one is for a one more VPC. For this VPC, we don't have a IGW. Let me create IGW. So I have IGW. I created a IGW, Internet Gateway. It's not attached to any network, any VPC. It's not attached to any VPC. I just created. So let me attach. Guys, whatever I can do using CLI, whatever I can do using GUI, I can do using CLI also. I can do using CLI also, the command line interface. Whatever I can do here using GUI, I can do using CLI also. If I have a AWS CLI, I can execute, I can create VPCs, I can create subnets, I can do the route table, right? Same thing I can create using Terraform also. Using Terraform also, I can create a infrastructure. Whatever I am creating manually, the VPCs, subnets, route tables, IGWs, we can create using Terraform also. As of now, I am using GUI, graphical user interface, to create our infrastructure. Same thing can be done. Guys, as I told, what are the ways we can manage AWS resources? We already discussed, I think, some time back. What are the ways I can manage AWS resources? I can provision, I can terminate, right? We have GUI, CLI, API, SDK, and Terraform. So these many ways. As of now, I'm just explaining AWS, and I am managing AWS resources using GUI. So I created IGW and I attached. Still, am I able to access? I have a now, our VPC has a IGW. The IGW is attached to VPC. still we will not be able to access. What is missing now? What is missing now? The routing, route table. We created a VPC, we created a subnets, we have a IGW. So there will be a route table. There will be a route table where we are going to define the routes between networks and your devices. Guys, one question here. Will they able to access this server, the server in one subnet, the other, the servers in other subnet, will they able to access each other without IGW, without internet? This is one subnet. This is another subnet. Will they have able to access with each other? Will they able to talk to each other without IGW, without internet? They will be able to access each other because they are in same VPC, intranet. They are in same network, intranet. Now I am able to access from outside the server. I have a IGW, but the routing is not defined between this subnet and this IGW in the route table. So let me do that. This is missing now. We have not defined the route table. So let me go to route table. For this VPC, I want to create a route table. I just created a route table. Now, here, I need to define the route and I need to associate my subnet. I need to define the route and I need to associate my subnet. Route. So within this range, they are in same network. So within this range, one server can talk to another server because they are in same network, local. Now from outside, what is 0.0.0/0 represents, guys? Internet, any IP. If request comes from this range, what is the target first? If request come from outside of this range, different network, this range, anywhere, what should be the target? What is the target here? The IGW, Internet Gateway. Internet Gateway. I have defined the route. I have defined the route and also I need to associate the subnet here. In the next section, associate subnets. Now, if I select this one, even though the name is private subnet, what will happen? This will become a public subnet. If I select this one, both will become a public subnets. Now I will just select this one. I'll just select this one. Now, do you see, am I able to access from internet? Am I able to access this server from outside? Now, let's see whether this guy has access to internet. Now, do you see, is it able to access? Is it able to talk to the internet? And let's see. I want to install some softwares. Will it able to talk to internet and get the required packages in this server. So this is public subnet server. We have access to the internet. Now let me create one more server in a private subnet. Now I will create one more server. Let me create one more server. In this VPC, in a private subnet. So I don't want public IP in this subnet. This is a private server. Now, even though I have opened for everywhere, I will not be able to access this directly from my, my laptop from internet. So this is private server. So this is private server. This server. This server will not have a public IP. It has only private IP. Now, will I able to access from my laptop from outside? Even though port 22 is open. So it is private server. We cannot access from this one. So how can I get into this server? How can I get into this server? How can I get into this server? NAT. People are saying NAT. Can I get into this server using NAT? What I told, NAT is for what purpose? One-way direction. Not using NACL. That is just a security group. Subhas, that is just a firewall. ELB. I want to SSH. I don't want to access the application. I have not deployed the application as of now, right? I want to SSH to that server. ELB is basically to route the traffic if you are deployed one application. Guys, this is private server. This is private subnet. I cannot access this one from outside. Suppose if I want to SSH to this server and do some configurations, how can I SSH? I want to SSH first to do something. NAT is one way. This guy can talk to the internet via NAT. We cannot access private server via NAT. So how can I do that, right? There are two options. Either I should be part of this network. My laptop, my server should be part of this network. So VPN, right? How can I become part of that network? Via VPN. My laptop should be now attached to this network. That we can do using VPN. That is out of our scope, right? So basically, guys, if you are working from office, you can access your servers. What will happen the moment you go to office and you connect to your office network, your laptop, you connected to your office network. So your laptop and the servers will be in same network. So then you will be able to access. The moment you come to home, why can't you connect with same laptop? Why you are not able to connect to your applications, your servers from home network? With same laptop? Because you are part of a different network. You are part of a different network. The range changes, right? Now, if you are working from home, you will connect to the network via VPN. You will connect to your office network via VPN so that you can access, right? So now I have one option. I can SSH to public. I can SSH to public subnet server. From there, I can at least access now. I can SSH to public subnet server. Then I can access this server. So I am in public subnet server. So I don't have a PIM file. Let me, because that doesn't have a user, right? I need to connect via PIM. So I have a PIM here. This is my public subnet server. Let me, now let me connect to this. From public subnet server, I am able to talk to the private subnet server. So I am able to access private server from public server. Now, do we have an internet connectivity here? Will it able to talk to internet? Is it working? No. Right? Now, will I able to install some softwares in this server? Will I able to install some softwares from package managers directly from internet? So now how can I set up this server? I want to install Tomcat. I want to install Java. Or maybe this is my database server. I want to install MySQL or some database software. How can I do that? What are the options you have? So we have an options. You can download to public subnet server. From there, you can SCP the software as a RPM file, as a zip file, as a tar file. Then you can install. Or what is the another option? What is the one more option which we have? Can I enable the internet connectivity? Can I enable the internet connectivity via NAT? So I can make it, I can enable the internet connectivity via NAT. So let me go to again VPC. So here NAT gateway or NAT instance. Let me create a NAT instance. Guys, under which subnet I need to create a NAT? For whatever VPC, for whatever private subnet I want to create, right? In that VPC, in the public subnet, Flipkart VPC, public subnet. I want to enable the internet connectivity to private subnet of Flipkart VPC. So I'm creating a NAT in the public subnet of Flipkart VPC. So for NAT, it requires some elastic IP. Allocate some elastic IP. For NAT, it requires elastic IP. So allocate a elastic IP. Create a NAT. So we are going to get a NAT instance. If I just create a NAT, will it work? If I just create a NAT, will it work? What needs to be done again? Again, we need to define the routing. Again, we need to define the routing. We need to define the routing. Where should I define the routing? This is again one network device, network component. So where should I define? Again in the route table. In the route table. So you have private server, private subnet. This guy can talk to the servers which are in a public other subnets. This guy can talk to this server, this guy can talk to this server because they are in same VPC. If this guy needs to talk to the internet, what we have done? We need to create a NAT. This subnet will be associated with NAT in the route table. Something like this. In the route table, we need to associate this subnet with the NAT so that it can talk to the internet. So let me create a route. For this VPC, I am creating a one more route table. So here, I will define the route. Again, internet. What is the target here now? What is the target here now? The NAT gateway. This one. Then I will associate the subnet here. I will select this private subnet. Now, you see, is it able to talk to the internet now via NAT? The private server, this is private server. Now, am I able to access internet? But so now I will be able to access, right? Suresh is asking why we need to create a one more route. Can't I define here, right? You can define here, but why I need to associate again in the same here, right? I can define the route, but when it comes to association, why I need to associate again public subnet with NAT, right? Again, if I select here, what will happen? There is a route for IGW. There is a route for IGW. If I define the route for a NAT, what will happen? I need to attach a private subnet here. Then you are attaching your private subnet also with IGW if you use the same route table. So that is how it is working. Now I have an internet connectivity in this server because of the NAT. Now let me remove the association here. This is my route table where I have defined the route to the NAT and I have associated private subnet. Now let me remove the association. Now do you have access? You don't have an access. Let me associate. Now you see it is able to talk to the internet. So this is how VPC works, right? So tomorrow there is a small topic again I need to cover, VPC peering. What is VPC peering, right? How to create a peering connections. Tomorrow we'll continue for first 10-15 minutes. Then we will go for a IAM. There is a one more service called IAM, guys. So tomorrow, first 10-15 minutes, we will discuss what is VPC peering, how to create a peering connections, right? We'll continue tomorrow. I want you to create a VPC subnets, route tables, whatever we have discussed today. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow on VPC peering.